Marx's tenet is laden with broken rationale, provisos, and unsolved issues. His concept of financial matters depends on the work hypothesis of significant worth, which affirms that a vehicle, for instance, should cost in excess of a TV, since more work is expected to deliver it. Be that as it may, this is a distortion of the market. Sam's Choice Cola tastes practically indistinguishable from Coca-Cola, however costs half so a lot. The work is the equivalent, however individuals are glad to pay twice as much for the main contrast, the brand name. Similar remains constant with medicine. In a similar way, sneakers can cost over $200 in the US, in spite of being made in China or Taiwan for just about $310. For what reason do they cost to such an extent? Since the ventures that own them sell them dependent on how profoundly they are popular by the general population. That is the reason they have competitors underwrite their items, to make them increasingly attractive to the competitors' fans. This is explicitly why Marxist communism has caused the express breakdown of such a large number of national economies. It thinks in general terms, and neglects to reveal to one nuance from another. This, as a matter of first importance, is on the grounds that communism isn't grounded in all actuality. Socialist Standard might be legitimately accused for the passings of at any rate 80-5,000,000 individuals in the 20th century. Stalin alone killed around 20 million, albeit different appraisals extend from 50-3,000,000 to 80 million. In 1975, the Khmer Rouge held on to power in Cambodia, and set out to set up a communist perfect world. They quickly dedicated annihilation on their own kin. In any event, 2 million were executed by ruthlessly crude strategies with regards to the Khmer Rouge's enemy of innovation position. A large number of the casualties were killed just for wearing glasses. Knowledge was esteemed an immediate and genuine danger to the Khmer Rouge. And we should not overlook Chairman Mao. He might not have been as malicious as Stalin, yet he was the very meaning of lack of interest towards mankind. His extraordinary leap forward caused the passings by starvation of 40-5,000,000 Chinese regular folks. Marx established communist way of thinking on the rule that class battles have been, by a wide margin, the essential driver of all hardship, wars, financial troubles, and system breakdown. There are famously thought to be three significant classes of individuals: the upper, the center, and the lower. The privileged has the greater part of the riches, the lower class the least, and the working class plays the peacemaker between them, keeping up the expectation and mental stability of the lower class. Without the working class, heads are chopped. Communism itself doesn't delete the class battle, as it declares, however props it up. It does this since it is a legislature, there must be a gathering of individuals in control, and almost certainly, this gathering makes the most of its capacity. By keeping up their capacity, the pioneers of a communist state separate the populace into in any event two classes, themselves as the high society, and ideally every other person in the lower class. Communist states have commonly not included a white-collar class, and its non-attendance considered the Russian revolutions of 1905 and 1917, the Chinese of 1949, the Cuban of 1953–59, and a large group of others. These upheavals finished with the ascent of a communist state, and every one of them were the destruction of their particular countries, in light of the fact that the communists themselves turned into exactly the same brand of elitist high society they had removed. The general accomplishment of the free market economy is a true nullification of Marxist financial aspects. The last never has adequate data available costs of wares, and subsequently can't appropriately apportion the dissemination of a country's resources. The just sensible analysis of the free market economy is the nearness of imposing business models, which can raise the costs of their items with little dread of response. However, syndications are much the same as the focal control a communist government practices on its entire economy. A genuine free market guarantees that there be balanced governance on the cost of products and ventures. A communist state will compensate for its wasteful economy by doing whatever is important to deliver yields and water. During the 1960s, the Soviet communist system occupied two significant waterways for water system. The Aral Sea, which those waterways took care of, has now contracted to as meager as 10% of its unique size. It used to be the fourth biggest lake in the world. The exercise, as opposed to giving the effectiveness of private enterprise access to its monetary model, the Soviet government decided to extricate all that it could from the earth without thinking the slightest bit about the well-being of that condition. It doesn't take a lot to bring the wrath of a communist state upon you, truth be told, it takes just essentially existing in an industrialist state. The Communist Manifesto advocates the substitution of all legislatures by communist governments. This has quite often been placed into impact inside. The Russian government was ousted, similar to the Republic of China and the Cuban majority rule government. In any case, the risk isn't just inward. The US need not dread a Cuban attack, however China is for sure a power to be dealt with. It controls the second biggest bit of American obligation, and however that loan adds up to around 8%, the number is rising. Should they ever bring in America's whole obligation to them without a moment's delay, America's now discouraged economy would be extraordinarily hurt. Motivating forces, for example, more significant compensation for specialists are important to give individuals the vitality they have to buckle down in a troublesome activity. When there are no additional motivators accessible, for example, in a communist state, where all harvest an equivalent offer in what some have worked more enthusiastically to plant, the individuals in troublesome positions rapidly lose their inspiration. For instance, laborers would quit thinking about how completely they examine the vehicles on the sequential construction systems, since it has no effect to them in any case. They are likewise prone to develop severe at the administration for neglecting to give them acknowledgement when they work superbly. Rebellions become an unmistakable obligation. Numerous a communist state has fallen as a result of this issue of diminished motivations. A few of these sections are connected, and the non-appearance of residence privileges is at the core of multiple. With regards to the last section, Marx upheld 10 principles in his Communist Manifesto for the constrained redistribution of all land and property to benefit the national network. This is robbery, from the residents' perspective. They are compelled to join the new communist government in any case. This, obviously, must be finished with a might is correct mood. Heaps of men with weapons appear and take all that you have for the greatness of the homeland, as the Soviets may have said. The most infamous case of constrained collectivization is the land change did by Soviets somewhere in the range of 1928 and 1933. It was believed that collectivization would amplify the utilization and capability of the wide open for urban and mechanical requirements. Russian industry was simply taking off, and gigantic amounts of nourishment would be required for the laborers. Masses of opposing landowners, a significant number of them little-scope ranchers who worked their own territory, kicked the bucket on account of killers. The state's demand of yields, domesticated animals, and farmland was paid for by the ranchers and by the lower class when all is said and done, exactly 10 million of whom starved to death in 5 years. The very same barbarity occurred in communist China, somewhere in the range of 1958 and 1961. During this time, private cultivating was banned as it had been in Stalin's Russia, and around 33 million individuals starved to death in perhaps the absolute most ruinous starvation in mankind's history. The normal individual, as George Carlin once watched, isn't especially acceptable at anything. The ideal occupation for such an individual is on the sequential construction system. Be that as it may, paying little heed to the administrations under which we live, we as a whole have various goals. A few people are impeccably cheerful clearing floors, however the majority of us fairly need progressively out of life. Money, yet popularity, brilliance, and a feeling of achievement. These require probably some innovative thought. You might need to be an artist or a painter, yet these employments absolutely don't take care of the tabs, and communism sees them as superfluous and strange. The only thing that is important is building a super amazing country, and one of the main impediments that must be expelled is the thing that Jefferson called the quest for bliss. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.